T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Back again in week 8. We're on a streak here. We're making this happen. What's going on, Brian?
Not much. Just chilling.
Just chilling. Hopefully, last week we had at the very end of the show, my internet just dropped for like a hot 3 seconds. We had a Brian panic face. It was fantastic. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But if not, I'm very excited to go back and rewatch the film and see the reaction. But if you saw the show sheet before, we have a ton of people to get to. So we're going to start it off and hit it and get out of this halftime. So to start it off, it's our favorite boy, our child, our number one player in the NFL, Robbie Anderson. Robbie. So
I hate him so much.
See, here's the thing. I don't know if it's entirely his fault. Now he didn't get a target in the entire first half. Not great, but Sam Darnold did try to get him murdered in the third quarter. So really, whose fault is it? Yeah, bad. I think we can finally close the door on the Robbie Anderson thing. Darnold may be out with a concussion, so PJ Walker may be better. It's hard to be worse. Who knows if Anderson's playing, and DGM might be also down. So not great. Who do you got up next, Brian?
I got Jamal Agnew from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just have to remind people what team he plays for because a lot of people don't even know who he is. Yeah. But a few weeks ago, I just went off on Urban Meyer and like what he's doing. But apparently he keeps on just feeding Jamal Agnew. He actually has a really good floor for a wide receiver. He led the team in targets this week with 12. He turned into a fairly disappointing 6 receptions for 38 yards and a touchdown. But still 12 targets. You can't complain about that. You can't really trust many wide receivers in this offense. You definitely can't trust Laviska. I was hoping Laviska would be a good play this season, but, I just don't know what Urban's doing there. But Agnew has actually been fairly consistent and dependable. So if you're needing just a wide receiver fill-in, he's not a bad option.
Yeah, and like you said, there's really no one else there, so I don't mind it. Next up, some sad news. Obviously, Derrick Henry looking like he's done for probably the season. So you're looking at really the main two, in my opinion, Jeremy Mick Nichols, and then apparently Adrian Peterson is still alive and playing football at 37 years old. So Mick Nichols, all right, he only has 7 rush attempts on the year. That's not really his game. He does have 27 targets, 21 receptions for 200 yards and a touchdown. Now, that is very much skewed by the no wide receiver game that the Titans played, but he really should keep his receiving role. And yeah, like I said, Peterson's 37. Vrabel did talk about going to a committee approach. So I think AP is still going to be probably that one, early down, first, second down guy. But McNichols should get a little bit more rushing work and keep his receiving value. So he should take a slight bump. The tough part is you don't want to, I don't know if I'd go out and spend a huge amount of fab on either of those guys because you don't really know how it's going to shake out. But between the two, McNichols has the PPR value. So that's where I would go.
Yeah. How washed is Gurley that a 37-year-old Adrian Peterson is just being picked up ahead of him? Like that you got to feel bad for that guy.
Yeah. Not good.
Next, I have Dan Arnold. Apparently, I'm going back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he, again, just like Jamal Agnew, he is a consistent high floor, low ceiling tight end streamer. He's had at least 5 targets every week besides that first week when he only was with the Jags for 3 days after being traded from Carolina. There's not much upside to this offense. Trevor Lawrence has not looked great. But he should have like a decent 3 to 4 reception floor every week. So you could do a lot worse at tight end. But I do have to point out that I did say back on October 11th that Dan Arnold is a decent tight end streamer, and it's held up. So apparently I'm just talking about the two parts of or the two wide receivers, the two receivers in the Jacksonville Jaguars offense that are worth rostering.
The only two that you want. And Dan Arnold is the newest and shiniest edition of my Scott Fishbowl team that is keeping me barely, not really afloat, but just close enough. Next up, Russell Gage. So Russell Gage, not great. 68% of the snaps. He had 0 receptions. You can't really blame Stephon Gilmore. He was on Pitts a lot of the time. I actually asked Arthur Smith about this, and Smith is like, yeah, receivers have to get open. So Gage just had a really bad day. It's bad when your coach is like, yeah, usually you throw to people that get open. So, I don't think this is true of like a trend. I think he just had a bad game, bad matchup, whatever it may be. It's Pitts and Gage there with obviously the Ridley news. It's very sad. Obviously, we're all rooting for him as a person, and hopefully he just gets better as a human being, and then football comes second. But in a fantasy realistic sense, it's Pitts and Gage, and those should be the top two. So
and Patterson.
But he's different. He's the running back, weird weapon guy.
He's everything.
Yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife. So I think Gage should be okay. It was a bad week.
So I'm going to just the Seattle Seahawks and the whole Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett situation. I think we way overanalyzed this whole situation and overreacted to how bad Geno looked against two decently good defenses. And one of the games against the Saints was in the rain. So I think you could kind of go back to Geno, having a little more confidence in him going forward. Definitely having confidence in DK Metcalf. He just gets open, and Geno trusts him near the goal line. And then Tyler Lockett, I started Robbie Anderson over Tyler Lockett this week, so it's just painful saying this. But Tyler Lockett had a 54% target share. I had no trust in Geno Smith, obviously, if I did that. But he had 54% target share. He had 13 targets out of 24 attempts.
Yeah.
He turned it into 12 receptions for 142 yards. It's frustrating. These guys are frustrating, but they're high variance plays that if they hit big. But if they miss, they miss big. So there are honestly some guys that like you might want to just, if someone doesn't trust Lockett and wants to sell him, I might be buying again. But yeah, it's just hard to trust this offense. But I think we overreacted.
Yeah, I pretty sure I sat Tyler Lockett in like all 6 of my dynasty teams. So obviously I should be giving advice. Next up, Rex Burkhead. Wow, way to come back. So sexy Rexy, man. He's back on the field and apparently the lead back in Houston all of a sudden. So, as we all saw coming. He saw 28 snaps, so a 49% snap share yesterday. Second was by the individual that we all know, that we all talked about leading up to the year, Scotty Phillips with 15 snaps. Scotty Phillips outsnapped David Johnson and Phillip Lindsay. So who the hell knows what's going on in Houston? I surely don't. But if Rex is going to get that work, he's not a bad addition. We were actually talking right before the show. It seems like there's been a million running back injuries this year. If he's going to get a decent amount of work and then 4 receptions a game, he might be someone that is a very valuable bench stash. And then depending on what happens, you might end up having to play in a flex or in a spot running back start. So could be a nice speculative ad for Rex Burkhead there.
Yeah, you could do worse than Rex Burkhead.
Sexy Rexy.
Another person that we were all talking about before the beginning of the season, Mike White, the quarterback for the New York Jets. He looked awesome. He threw for over 400 yards. But I think you have to temper your expectations because Cincinnati is now turning into a shootout team. Mike White had 45 attempts. So I don't think he's going to do that every week. If he does, then wow, you got a great pickup there. But I just don't think that's going to happen. The one thing we can count on from him going forward, hopefully, is he's just checking the ball down all the time. So he targeted running backs on 39% of his 45 targets. So that's a big number.
That's nice.
So this could be massive for Michael Carter and Ty Johnson. I can't imagine the Jets have too many shootouts like this going forward, but they'll probably be behind. There'll be plenty of volume. And so I think this is a huge boost, honestly, for Michael Carter. He already was starting to look like he might break out. And I think this might be his breakout game. And now he gets that nice reception floor. He might be someone that, if you listen to our advice, I think it was last week we talked about Michael Carter.
Yep.
That he might be someone that he could help take you to the playoffs. But even Ty Johnson, if he keeps up this running back or this reception floor, he'll have a nice floor every week.
Yeah, and I'm just very excited for the Bill Belichick mind games of he's the one that is going to start the Mike White versus Zach Wilson, whose team is it really issue, and really just continue to crumble the New York Jets organization. I'm very excited for that storyline because it's White's team at this point. But next up, someone else that we actually talked about last week in the rapid reaction, now getting into the full show sheet. So snaps to you, Zach Ertz. If with his first game in Arizona, he went 3 for 66 and 1 on a 49% share. This week, only 4 targets, but 78% of the snaps he was out, on the field, which is huge, right? It's being new to the team. Doesn't have the elite target share, 18%, 12%. Not bad, but it's not, high-end stuff. But again, it's in a efficient offense, is good offense. Hopefully Kyler isn't gone. I know he has a banged up ankle, but he should be back pretty soon. If you need tight end help, Zach Ertz is probably trending to not being available at this point anymore. But if he's still available in your leagues, you got to go out there and get him and get a part of that offense, especially in the tight end landscape that we have now. So Zach Ertz is doing well, and you got to go get him.
Game's about to come back, so we got to go quick. Antonio Gibson, yikes of the week. He was had more or less rushes than Jared Patterson. Patterson had 11 rushes to Gibson's 8. Keep on monitoring that shin injury, because I'm not sure you can start Antonio Gibson going forward if he continues to carry that injury designation.
Yeah. New Orleans, it sucks about Jameis. Honestly, you got to wait. Hopefully Taysom Hill is there because at least we saw that he can pass. But right now, that entire situation is up in the air. That's tough. That's real tough.
Then I just have some defenses I want to point out that you might just want to start targeting players playing against that don't appear to be good starts. So ESPN on fantasy ranks the Cincinnati defense as the 17th worst matchup for running backs. So it's about middle of the ground. But if you actually look at the running backs that's played against them, they've all at least scored like 15 points or more. Dalvin had one of his best weeks. Najee had one of his best weeks. It's just, especially this last week, Michael Carter and Ty Johnson just went off. So I would actually, if you're playing DFS or something, that might be a situation to exploit. Then a quick defense to avoid that actually might look good. The Cleveland passing defense against quarterbacks, they're actually the 3rd best, according to ESPN, against quarterbacks. But if you look at it, it's actually a weird dichotomy. They've been blown apart by elite quarterbacks. Herbert had 41 points. Kyler had 4 touchdowns. Mahomes had 33 points against them. But they've been really just middle of the road against just mediocre quarterbacks. Big Ben only had 14. Teddy Bridgewater had 13. And Cousins had 10. So I wouldn't target them necessarily as if you're trying to find a quarterback streamer.
Awesome. Love it. And to end here with our rapid reaction, Pat Freiermuth, the last 2 games, 7 targets apiece, 7 for 58, 444 and 1. So, talking about, again, trying to target these tight ends that are going to be helpful and frankly is a toss-up position. Freiermuth is a great guy. And to end the show here, it's our new thing. You can tell we're so excited. It's the Robbie Anderson Week Award, the Robbie Anderson of the Week Award. So, Brian, who is the first winner of the Robbie Anderson Award?
So it really goes to someone who wasted almost all their targets this week. He had 12 targets for 4 receptions and 29 yards. It is nothing or no other than Waddle out of Miami. So congratulations. You did a great job. Four receptions on 12 targets. Great job, Waddle.
Great job. Great work. And hopefully we don't have any repeat winners, but I kind of actually hope we do. So with that said, this show we talked about a lot, but the third quarter has started. So we are signing off. Thanks for tuning in again, and we will see you next week.
Peace. Adios.